So here is what we know over the weekend. And we knew from the get that when they went to Greenville that the state of Tennessee did not have to win this particular injunction to defeat the NCAA. They could have lost a preseason game essentially and still gone on and been victorious in court later on when it comes to NIL dealings. So what's next? The NCAA can no longer enforce rules, the NIL rules. This just in, that was illegal from the get, but that's okay. So let me ask you, what is next for the NCAA, college football, and more? Because this is not a small change. This is a drastically huge, monstrous change.
I would say what's probably next is the only thing that's next is, well, for the short term, it is going to be chaos in the wild, wild west. Do we agree with that, Dave? It is going to be insane what programs are doing over the next 2 to 3 years. They will be opening checkbooks like you guys have never seen. You're going to see multiple Nikos going forward. I do think after that, for the sake of the lesser athletes, Congress will finally be forced to step in and address this and pass some sort of law. I don't know what that law will be because they have to deal with. Here's the problem with Congress. They want to protect all sports. That's what Title IX, that's what the goal of Title IX was to do, was to protect women's sports. They also want to protect worker rights, which is to maximize your value as a worker. There are two laws, Title IX and the Antitrust Act, that do that. They are in direct conflict with each other when it comes to the NCAA. Or when it comes to college athletics. The absolute direct conflict. Because if you want to protect lesser sports for scholarships for kids, the only real effective way to do that, Dave, is to lessen the amount of money players can make off their own name in the revenue-producing sports. And I don't know what the answer is, but this is something Congress is going to have to address going forward.
No, there's no question. And it's going to have to get to that point. And please hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. Greatly appreciate that. Remind you that portions of the program are brought to you by our good friends at the Hemp House. They bring you today's tough question. The Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Who are the programs in the SEC that this may hurt? One sticks out way above the rest, and that's the University of Florida with what they went through for Jaden Rashada. The guy shows up at a quarterback, and there's no money for him there. So to me, they were already behind the 8 ball. And just like building off the hook sports with Caleb, you don't achieve everything in one day. Okay, it takes time. So
lots of time.
This suddenly taking the speed limit off of the interstate makes Tennessee look like a Porsche, makes the University of Florida look like a Yugo.
A Porsche? Isn't it just Porsche?
No, the man's name was Porsche. He pronounced it Porsche.
I'm thinking the car. But
the man made the car.
And it's always been a Porsche? I've always called it a Porsche.
No, and you say Neyland too. It's Neyland. That's okay.
You've corrected me on that. All right, well, it does. Tennessee has been out ahead of this from the start. So Tennessee's about to open up the checkbook. Guys, look for Tennessee to potentially have a top 5 class in 2025. I'm just going to say this. You are going to see a lot of reports. It's immediately shot up to the top now. Every single 5-star commitment, Dave, the next question is going to be how much was he paid to go there? That's going to be the question for the next year.
Just like the NFL and quarterbacks, right?
I mean, yeah, just like the NFL and quarterback.
Dak Prescott makes more because the guy the year before him makes more. It doesn't matter how he plays. No, there's a lot of truth to that. Here's the thing that I think you should really, really like about Tennessee is that everything has been in place for quite some time. They have already had the growing pains that the University of Florida are going through right now. You look at at Tennessee's rivals, and I know we use that term loosely. Kentucky, South Carolina don't have the money. Vanderbilt, don't worry about them. Alabama is now going through a situation in which they haven't had to use NIL. So I think it hurts them because they're probably not ready for it. And the one that the bugaboo is still the University of Georgia. Will players take a discount to go there in order to prepare themselves for the NFL? Quite possibly, but that needs to be the next step of Josh Heupel's ascension as one of the top coaches in the nation. That is producing NFL talent. And he's doing that, but you would like to see 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of history before you start getting a Tennessee discount.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing with Josh Heupel is his system is resulting in certain types of players taking discounts. I think you and I both know George McIntyre took an NIL discount to go to Tennessee. I think he probably was offered more money by other schools, but wanted to play for Tennessee. Is that a fair guess, Dave? Do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a fair guess. And me drinker asked, isn't this NIL injunction only for a few months? Well, yes, but every legal expert we've talked to, including our title sponsor of the show, T. Scott Jones, think there's absolutely no way. I mean, it's not American, Caleb, to say that Caleb Calhoun cannot make money at this job. That's just un-American. It's been wrong from the get.
It's been wrong from the get. And yeah, it's this injunction. The reason it was granted, here was what the judge's ruling was. He said, as this moves forward in the courts are going to find this illegal. And therefore, we should go ahead and strike it down now until it's ruled on, because if we don't strike it down now, there are going to be players that are victims of a law that's going to be struck down. So the judge basically said this law is going to easily be found illegal. There's no question about it. And I'm surprised that this was never, someone's going to look back and say, you know, what TV deals in college football started in the 1960s, right? That's when money started pouring in. Someone's going to look back and say, how did it go from the 1960s to the 2020s before someone was like, hey, maybe I could sue and make money on this?
Oh, I completely agree. You're going to look back at and I think you and I feel a little bit different about the playoffs, but I think you're going to look back and say one of the two, they should have never had the playoff, or wow, how did they not have the playoff? One of us will be right eventually in 5, 7, 8 years. Here's my thing though, because Dylan mentioned on the message board that they're going to have a salary cap eventually. Now, in order to have a salary cap, you're going to have your players unionized to some degree. And by
otherwise,
the way,
it's illegal.
Well, let me work on this, though. You're going to have them unionized to some degree, be represented by someone. And I will tell you this, even if it's the University of Tennessee or whoever it might be, if there's a salary cap in place because all those things happen and you break it, I'm talking death penalty. I'm talking SMU style. If you're allowed to pay $10 million a year and you pay $10,100,000 a year, sorry, you're getting hammered by the NCAA. If there is an NCAA, I don't even know who's going to govern it, but that would be my one caveat. I'm giving you this as the legal system. You can pay your players because that is the legally right thing to do. But if you enter into an agreement, this wouldn't come from Congress, I know. But if you enter in an agreement with a salary cap and you break it, you're in big time trouble.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. Now, it's first of all, let's get this out of the way, Dave, because people were saying this over the weekend. And you know when you know someone doesn't know college sports? If someone says, well, they've been doing this all the time anyway, so nothing changes. Yeah, they've done it. But there's a huge difference between here's a few $1,000s under the table and it's open season. We can bid for athletes and recruiting. Isn't there a huge difference between being able to do it now on the up and up versus what they had to do under the table 10 years ago?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No question about it. Check out my new shirt, TriStar Company. You've got to check them out. And just check out the quality of the embroidery. I'm absolutely loving this pullover from Apex Apparel. Man, they just do so much when it comes to a one-stop shop for all products, giveaways, uniforms needed for your business, spirit wear for a school or group. Do me a favor with your business. Call Tyler, 865-919-3001. The number is right below, 865-919-3001, or go to yourapexapparel.com.